Welcome to Mr. Bear Recaps. Today I will show you a film from 2013 titled Prisoners. Spoilers ahead, watch out and take care. Keller and his family are heading to their neighbors for a Thanksgiving party. Everybody is busy preparing dinner when Keller's daughter Anna comes to him and asks permission to go outside and play with their friend's youngest child, Joy. He allows her to do so if she convinces her older brother Ralph to accompany her. Little Anna and Joy are playing outside. Ralph and Elise, Nancy's and Franklin's oldest daughter, are walking behind them. Kids stumble on a trailer and start hitting it. Little Anna tries to climb on it. Their older siblings try to stop them, telling them that it is not good behavior. They push the little bullies aside, but as they leave, they hear music coming from the trailer. Somebody is in there. They head back to the house. The Thanksgiving party is in full swing, the adults are chatting, the kids are playing. Little Anna comes to Grace, her mommy, and asks if she can take Joy to their house to find a whistle she lost some time ago. Mommy lets them, once again on the condition that their older siblings keep an eye on them. Sometime later, Keller goes downstairs and sees Ralph and Elise sitting there watching TV. He asks if they went together with the girls. Ralph does not understand what they are talking about. Keller remains calm and heads to check their house. Both families gather and start to panic, they cannot find them anywhere. Ralph mentions the trailer incident that happened earlier and they get out to look for it. He takes Keller to the place where the RV was parked, but it is no longer there. Keller immediately calls the police. The detective Loki is having dinner at a cafe as his phone rings. He gets informed about an RV parked somewhere that matches Ralph's description and drives there. Later, the detective arrives at the spot with other units and they proceed to check the RV. Suddenly, the RV turns on its engine and crashes into the trees. The police officers get in and arrest the driver. They ask him where the girls are, but he does not talk and seems to be high. Moments later, Loki interrogates the driver at the police station. Alex says he has not seen any girls and was just driving around in his RV. Loki pressures him, but Alex acts strangely and simply asks to sit down. He says that he parks his RV in his aunt's backyard. Afterwards, Loki goes to Alex's aunt to look for a lead. He meets her and she invites him in. She shows Loki Alex's room and tells him that his parents died when he was 6 years old. The forensics team found nothing suspicious in the RV, so Loki orders them to check the aunt's house. The next day Loki pays a visit to both families. He picks up the photos of Joy and goes to Keller's house, where he talks to Grace. She says there was no reason for the girls to run away. Keller joins them and Loki reports that there wasn't any physical evidence of girls being in the RV or in Alex's aunt's house. He says that Alex is too dumb to commit such a crime, which causes Keller to lose his temper. Loki tells him to calm down and asks them to let him do his job. When Loki leaves, Keller chases him and asks to keep Alex into custody until they find the little girls. He tells Loki to be 100% sure that Alex is not guilty if he decides to release him. Loki is in his boss's office asking to keep Alex in custody for one more day. The boss refuses because there is no evidence that Alex has done anything wrong. Loki decides to pay a visit to all the convicted Section X offenders who live in the area. His first stop is the priest. While he is sleeping, Loki searches the house and comes across a hidden door that leads to the basement, where he finds an old, decomposed body. The priest gets questioned but knows nothing about the girls. Loki asks him about the body and the priest tells him that he killed a man who came to him and confessed about killing 16 kids. The priest gets arrested. An extensive search with all available resources takes place. Keller receives a call from his wife, who informs him that Alex is being released. At the police station, Alex prepares to leave together with his aunt. Outside, numerous journalists are already waiting for him. Keller also arrives, loses his temper and brings Alex down. When asked what he has done to the girls, Alex whispers, "They did not cry until I left them." Police officers pull Keller away from him and Alex leaves. A few moments later, Keller is in the police station's head office, and Loki joins them as well. Keller tells them what Alex told him earlier. They both doubt it, but promise to talk to him. Afterwards, Loki reports to Keller that he got no answers from Alex. He hangs up in disbelief. His family is desperate that Anna has not come home yet. Keller decides to go to Alex's house to spy on him right when he is about to walk the dog. Alex is singing a song that both girls sang during the Thanksgiving party. Keller loads his gun, approaches Alex and confronts him about how he knows this song. The next day, Keller picks up Franklin and takes him to his father's old house. Last night, he took Alex there and tied him up. Keller tells Franklin that if the police cannot do it, they should make him talk using their own methods. Franklin does not want to, but Keller says their daughters' lives depend on it and they need to get him to talk. Meanwhile, Loki comes across a story about a 6-year-old boy who disappeared 26 years ago and pays the mother a visit. This story also involved RV. He then questions the priest in hopes of getting new information. He only finds out that the abductor who the priest murdered had family and kidnapped children in daylight. Keller tries to get information from Alex, but with no success. Later on, people are gathering at Franklin's house to support the family. Loki is also there and notices a suspicious man in the crowd. He tries to approach him, but the man starts running away and a chase ensues. He ends up in a backyard and loses his target when the man suddenly jumps on him from the treehouse and runs away again. Loki fails to catch him. Search for the suspicious man is announced on TV and radio. Keller is convinced that Alex knows who the suspicious man is and puts even more pressure on him. At the same time, Alex's aunt reports him missing. While watching the records, Loki receives a call from a clothing store. They have identified the suspicious man. He comes there every week to buy children's clothes. Meanwhile, Franklin confesses to his wife about Alex. She wants to see him and they take her to see the poor man, who is barely recognizable. She unties him and tries to talk to him while he begs for help and tries to escape. Keller has set him up in a cozy-looking room with extras included. Franklin cannot take it anymore and tries to talk Keller out of it, but he refuses to give up and is convinced Alex is the culprit. Keller lets them decide whether to free him or not. While Franklin and Nancy are away from home, someone breaks into their house, but when they return, he is already gone. Next on the list is Keller's house, the same man on the wanted list. Grace wakes up and goes through the house thinking that it might be Anna, while the man escapes. Afterwards, Loki arrives at the house and Grace shows him the basement. Loki sees something suspicious and asks Grace where Keller is. She says he is outside looking for their daughter. Loki suspects that Keller may have something to do with Alex's disappearance. The next day, Loki is waiting outside Keller's house. When Keller leaves, he follows him. Keller notices it and confronts him. Loki tries to find out where Keller was heading, but he makes up a story about buying a drink instead of telling the truth. Loki mentions that he saw a half-empty bag of lye in Keller's basement, to which Keller replies that he used it for his dog's funeral. He tries to pretend he does not know where Alex is. Loki encourages him to get a grip and be there for his family. This makes Keller lose his temper and he says that they are running out of time, so it requires action. He leaves and asks Loki to look for his daughter instead of following him. The following day, Loki tries to find out a connection between Keller and where he was heading. He comes across an article about Keller's father, who committed suicide in his house on the same street. Keller is back at his father's house and continues to torture Alex by pouring hot water. After he finishes, Alex is mumbling something. He tries to say that he is not Alex and that he was waiting for him, but he never came. However, Keller cannot understand what he is saying. At the same time, Loki arrives and Keller sees him through the window knowing he is in trouble. He orders Alex to be silent. Meanwhile, Loki makes his way into the house. As he gets in, he finds Keller on the floor pretending to have passed out drunk. Loki asks whether Alex is in the building, which Keller denies. He decides to take a look around, when his phone rings. It's the lady from the clothing store. The guy was once again in the store, but when he saw the saleswoman looking at him, he immediately fled. Luckily, she has his license plate number. Loki rushes away and orders Keller to go home. Loki finds the car parked near a house. He knocks on the door and the same man who ran away from him the other night opens it. He asks him why he is buying kids' clothes, to which the man replies that he must have been in a hurry, stating that he has no kids, and tries to shut the door. Loki handcuffs him and begins to search the house. He comes across a room full of black boxes. He believes that Anna and Joy are inside. He decides to lock the man in his car to find out what is in the boxes. In all of them there are snakes together with kids' clothes and blood. Loki also finds strange drawings of mazes in one of the boxes and on the walls. It seems that he has forgotten that he is dealing with snakes. Afterwards, they proceed to the police station to interrogate the suspect. Keller is also there, along with Franklin and Nancy, where they try to identify whether any clothes from the suspect's house belong to their kids. It turns out that the suspect said he had killed them. Nancy and Franklin have identified 2 pieces of clothing. Now it is Keller's turn. He shakes as he recognizes his daughter's blood-soaked sock. Keller blames Loki and explains he wasted time following him instead of looking for the girls. The suspect named Bob is working on the maze he drew himself. Loki hopes that it will lead them to the girls. He loses patience and begins to use force against the man. Loki's colleagues intervene and stop him. Bobby gets his hands on one of the cops' guns and shoots himself. Meanwhile, Keller is back at his father's house, getting drunk and talking to Alex. He says that he does not know what to do and is sure that Alex knows where the girls are. Alex finally breaks down and whispers, "They are in the maze." Keller starts questioning about the maze, but Alex does not give him anything more. Keller then pays a visit to Alex's aunt and expresses that he feels responsible for Alex running away. He tries to get information about Alex from her, but she says that he never talks much. He started talking so little after a childhood accident which involved snakes. Keller notices a newspaper on a table reporting a suicide at the police station and leaves. At the same time, Loki is trying to understand the maze Bob drew before his suicide, but he has no idea what it means. He receives a call from his colleague. It turns out that all the blood in the plastic containers with the snakes is pig's blood. Loki finds out that the maze Bobby drew is the same maze as on the medallion found on the corpse in the priest's basement. He remembers that when someone was in Keller's house, the window was left open, so he goes there and finds the other sock right under the window that Bob lost on his way out. The next day, Grace receives a call about the girls. Joy has been found alive and is in the hospital. Anna is still missing. At the hospital, Franklin and Nancy are already with Joy. Keller tries to question her, but she is not answering. Joy regains consciousness, wakes up and has flashbacks of what happened. She says he was there. Keller is confused, thinks for a while, and then leaves the hospital in a hurry. Loki notices Keller and tries to catch him, but he is already in his car and drives away as fast as possible. Loki thinks he is going to his father's house and proceeds there. When he gets there, he hears Alex screaming loudly. Loki guessed wrong. Keller went to Alex's aunt's instead of his father's. He figured out that the girls were there because Joy heard his voice from Keller confronts her, but she points a gun at him and tells him to put his hands up. She orders him to be handcuffed and to drink a liquid she gets from the refrigerator and threatens to kill him if he disobeys. Afterwards, she takes him outside and tells how she and her husband have taken in a lot of kids with different names. She forgot about Bobby until reading about him in the newspaper. Keller is commanded to get in the car. As he gets in, the aunt tells him that kidnapping children is the war they wage with God. The same words said by the man who told the priest about kidnapping 16 children. It was her husband. She orders Keller to back the car up, and when he does, she tells him to get out. There is a hole under the car and the aunt says that his daughter is there. He is ordered to get in and she does not hesitate shooting him in the leg after his refusal. She closes the hatch, parks the car over it and leaves with Keller's car. Meanwhile, police are at Keller's father's house. Loki wants to find Keller, but his boss demands to notify Alex's aunt instead, and he listens. Loki arrives at the aunt's house, knocks on the door and hears the aunt inside doing something but not coming to open the door, so he decides to let himself in. He notices a picture of the aunt's husband, looks at it more closely and recognizes his pendant. It is the same maze medallion found on the corpse in the priest's basement. Loki finally puts the puzzle together. He hears the floor creak and goes looking for the aunt, who in the meantime injects something into little Anna's hand. Loki finds them and tells the aunt to put her hands up. She slowly stands up, turns around and shoots at Loki. He responds with the same, they both get hit, but the aunt collapses on the floor. Loki is still able to walk. He takes little Anna and rushes to his car. Loki drives as fast as he can to take little Anna to the hospital. He is badly injured and is losing his senses, but somehow manages his way to the emergency room. It turns out that Alex was the kid who was kidnapped 26 years ago and whose mother Loki visited previously. Alex knew about the maze because he had been in it. The accident with the snakes was in reality him being trapped in the maze. Later, the forensics team examines the property. As they leave, Loki hears a whistle, which he ignores, but he then hears another one. He takes a look at the car, under which Keller is hidden. The end. Thank you for watching. Subscribe if you'd like to see more videos like this.